All right, we are live if you want to share it around, Ralph.
All right. It's still saying starting soon.
Okay, it should be. We have two viewers now. The viewers that are on we'll start in just a few. Ralph is sharing it, going to share it around as soon as it pops up. You seeing it now, Ralph?
Pork bacon? Huh?
Yeah, darn.
Well, that's bacon.
All right, and on tonight's live stream, we are going to have a tutorial on how to use Facebook.
I'm trying.
I got you. It showed up on mine.
There we go.
No, that's last week's.
Yeah.
Need me to send it to you?
Okay, there we go.
Should be. We have two viewers. Okay, that's it. All right, everyone, please just be patient with us for just a minute while Ralph learns Facebook real quick.
Yeah, it wasn't coming on.
Yeah, you shared it too.
There we go.
Now, all right, and on tonight's live stream, we are going to have
Yep, well.
All right. All right, everyone, welcome back to the American Blood Trackers Association live stream. Tonight we have special guest MattBurger, and I'm Kenny Mullins, and as always, Ralph Bennett. So Matt is a tracker in Michigan, correct?
That's right. Yep, Southern Michigan.
All right, Matt. So do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started? Some of you may already know Matt's been on here before, but for those that don't.
Yeah, veteran of the show, I guess. Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. I do appreciate it. It's always fun to jump on and talk about tracking with cool people and cool listeners and cool people talking about cool things. Frankly, is what it is. But yeah, MattBurger. I'm in Southern Michigan, Jackson County specifically. Northwest corner of Jackson County, very specifically, and I've been tracking. So I just wrapped up our third season, so I'm a humble, experienced tracker, I guess, or gaining experience. Not a lot, but we're getting there. I track with a bloodhound. And she's my only dog. She's my first dog. She's 3-year-old bloodhound named Baru. And just wrapping up our third season, I managed to go on 86 tracks, which I know pales. That is completely fractional compared to you guys. But for me in trackers in Michigan, that's a decent number.
That's a very respectable number.
Yeah. Full-time corporate 8 to 5 corporate gig, so that's just what we do. Tails on Trails Deer Tracking is the name of my tracking service. I'm on Facebook and YouTube, and even have my own little hobby podcast. It's getting a tiny bit of traction. It's pretty fun. So that's what we do. We've seen some, and we'll probably imagine we'll get into it a little bit, but some pretty fun progress and development this year, and just some fun stuff. So I'm really excited for next year, as we always are, but going into year 4 and building on the progress, just very notable progress that we made this year in our development. I can't wait, man. I think there's some good stuff to come.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially that fourth year is a pretty significant year. More so for the dog than the handler. of course, you learn more and more every year, but that fourth year, the third year, you probably notice a pretty significant difference. The fourth, you're going to notice even more.
Yeah, and there were a couple of things that really contributed to some notable differences in year three. One of the biggest things, it was being able to track off lead. That made a huge difference for all the reasons that we've talked about before. But and then just the development of the dog was pretty noticeable, and yeah, everybody says that year four, that's really a notable year. So I can't wait, man.
Oh yeah. So I had a couple questions for you.
Yeah.
One question I have is, what would you say made the biggest impact on you as a tracker, or your tracking team from year 2 to year 3? During that off season, what impacted you and your team the most?
A couple of things that come to mind. One of them I already touched on. It was going from on lead all year, our second year, to off lead for 80% of the season, our third year. We spent all off season, being sure that we were ready for off lead, and very, very noticeable difference there. The other thing is just I'm not sure how I want to put this, but as you go, you gain a little bit of confidence. As you learn more, you become more confident in what you're doing. And there was a defining moment for me in last off season. Right towards just before the season started, midsummer. Let's call it midsummer, where I just dropped my ego defense. I'm a man. I have an ego. We all do. But my ego defense was in fear of failure, in fear of exposing myself and masking my own insecurities in tracking. So I had some conversations. You've listened to some of them on podcast, on my little podcast, because we've talked about it. But there were some defining moments with some people whom I respect and admire that really made me reflect on, look, go test for your level 2, and I wasn't doing that because I was making the excuse that I'm not going to test for my level 2 because it doesn't get me anything. In the state of Michigan, when I started tracking, you had to have a level 1 certification as a minimum. You had to have a level 1 to be in the tracking network I'm a member of. You had to have at least a level 1 certification. So I was using the excuse that a level 2 gets me nothing. I have everything I need to do. Well, I realized quickly after some self-reflection and talking to those people that I trust that is absolutely short-sighted. You talk about a short-sighted visionary. That was me, because it was holding me back. I wasn't allowing myself to get the feedback and get the mentorship from folks, veteran people who have been doing it. And that was a watershed moment for me. And as soon as that barrier came down, it was full tilt boogie for me, because now I'm, I want all of it I can get. So going into the season, taking down that shield of ego defense, and then just letting my dog be off lead, and all of the benefits that come from that. Those are the two things that I think launched what I think was a pretty good season for us in our course of development.
Okay, that's pretty good. So you did see a benefit in the testing side of things. That's what I gathered from that. As far as going for your 2, what would you say you benefited from the most with that? Was it your dog? Was it you?
It wasn't the dog. The dog has never been the problem. I mean, we run our practice lines. We do all of the normal off season stuff that most of the trackers do. It was all me.
Right.
It was all me by being receptive and putting in the work. So the testing and wanting that rib, and I'm proud of it because we worked to achieve it, and I'm particularly proud of it because it was a defining moment for me in the way I viewed training and feedback. So like I've said before many times, the value is not in the ribbon hanging over my left shoulder right now. And you've said this before too. Both you and Ralph have both said this. The value is not held within the ribbon. The value is held in the work and the commitment it took to achieve the ribbon. That ribbon doesn't have a darn thing to do with my dog's ability to do her job. They don't have a darn thing to do with it. But the work that we put in and just letting myself be a little vulnerable to the valuable feedback from some great and experienced people was everything. And now I can't get enough of it. It's a compulsive disorder, right? No, I'm serious. It's just, I'm very...
And one thing I want to kind of reiterate on is the testing is a motivational tool to get you out there working your dog.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people doesn't realize. You're not just going to take a dog and go to a test without working that dog. I don't know anyone.
No, not at all.
I'll prime example. I put someone on the spot tonight. We have a new test coming out in a few weeks that is going to be released at the Florida event, and I'll go into more detail about that later on in the show.
Yeah.
But I called a person who I know has a dog that meets the criteria to take that test, and I said, "Hey, just wanted to let you know that Ralph and I just volunteered you to sign up for this test." He says, "I haven't worked the dog." I said, "Well, you got a few weeks."
Plenty of time if the dog knows his job.
Oh, yep. Yeah. So
the other thing about the ribbon, though, Kenny, it's a motivator, but it's also a validation. Right. Because I'm proud of it. Ralph, you mentioned it the other day. People love to have their picture taken with that ribbon. Raise my hand. They're in the ribbon boxes, the pictures of me and my judge and my dog and my ribbon. It's a validation, and you should be proud of it if you put in the work to earn it.
That's right. And I will admit, and I've admitted this before, you and I spoke about this the other day. I said, there's no point in me testing, deer on the tailgate is validity enough. Yeah. I don't need a ribbon to show how good me and my dogs are.
Yep.
And in reality, that was just a defense mechanism.
Yep.
Because I was afraid to fail.
That's exactly what it was for me. 100% what it was.
Plus, there's 7 months of non-tracking, so you got to have something to do.
Something to do. But let me ask you. So now let me ask you a question, Kenny. And I don't mean to hijack your questions here, but did you see a change in yourself when you had that same realization? Did you notice anything? In the course of your development, I mean, you've been doing it for 100 years, but was there anything tangible to that realization for you?
This is what I would, I don't personally think I gained anything as far as my handler skills or even the dog skills at that point, because I had already been tracking so long. What I'll say is it motivated me to work in the off season.
Oh, there you go. So there was a tangible awareness for you then.
What did have a big impact on me was judging. So my judging started many years ago when we had a testing certification through the Florida Blood Trailing Network. Actually, even before that, and then with the UBT and now with the ABTA. And I did watch your podcast, listen to your podcast. What was it, a couple of weeks ago? You had a couple of UBT apprentices.
Yeah, Marissa and Eugene. Yep.
Yes, and a lot of the stuff that they said, I was there. It makes you a better handler. You see things. Being a trainer and training so many dogs like I do. I mean, I did have a lot of that beforehand, but what I'll say is when you start getting out there, especially on the judging side of things, and you start falling behind other handlers and other dogs, you start picking up on things that you don't see before, and then you realize, oh crap, I do that too, and I didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Do you agree, Ralph?
Yeah, I think the watching other dogs, because I do that a ton. I go with a lot of people. It definitely has helped me read other dogs quicker, faster. Sometimes I do it better than the owners do it, just because of the judging aspect of watching other dogs. And not that makes a big difference, but sometimes you pick up something, and all you're looking for out there on the track is that sign that, all right, they got it. We're on the right track. Especially when there's no blood or something, you're looking for those little movements, and it's pretty cool. It's fun to watch a little pack of dogs that you can check them out and know, and all of them in sync with each other and doing things that means you're on the right track, because it don't matter who you are, you doubt it sometimes.
100%. To that point, and Ralph talking about the little subtleties. I listened to a podcast today. My good friend, the Mid-Michigan Madman Maggart, shared a podcast with our tracking group. What was it here? Jeff Shetler, allowing the dog to work. The Working Dog podcast, and it was a man trailing, largely police stuff, but he talked exactly about that. He was talking about when he's working a shepherd, and he said he almost got killed. He almost got shot because he was right on top of the suspect. Well, as he started talking to other trainers and things, they said, well, you're missing the proximity alerts. He said, what are you talking about? No, I'm not. My dog barks. He says, no. He says, that's when you're there. That's too late. He said your proximity alerts can happen in man trailing 100 yards from the suspect. And he talked about how subtle that could be, Ralph. So that subtle, there's something there. The dog is doing something. It's just whether or not we were able to recognize it. And I don't know if I do or not. Some of her stuff is easy to read. Sometimes I don't know. She's moving, I'm walking.
Sometimes we pick up stuff. That Jason, the guy you was talking about a while ago about doing the test, we track a lot together. Shoot, we have literally went back to the truck when one of the dogs tells us it's a live deer or something along that line. We have literally went and put dogs up so that we could control the situation better.
Yeah.
But it was just because of that right there. And he's got a dog that he is spot on when he figures out the deer's alive, Jason can pick it out in a second. And it changes the game. Sometimes you have to change it right in the middle of the game. What you're doing, your strategy. So
game time adjustment, man.
Figuring all those things out, that's a ball. That's the funnest part of tracking to me. But it ain't just do the same thing every time. Every track has a strategy, or you can, if you're watching it good enough, and you can implement those strategies based off of the situation and the different characteristics that each dog has. And it's just fun as crap. It's just neat as it can be.
Each track management is situationally dependent. Depending on your situation, is how you approach the track or adjust your approach to the track.
Right. Yeah, and where I was going with that, I think what really makes the difference between a good tracker and a great tracker is the ability to read situations, read your dog, and make those adjustments at the proper times.
So, and you're 100% right. And that comes in time. And that was part of my ego defense. I knew I wasn't good at that yet in year 1 and year 2. And I was afraid to expose myself. Although everybody gone through it, everybody knew that. It's just understood that when you're a second year tracker, you're not going to have that. You're not going to be that in tune yet. You just can't be, because you don't have the time on task or the time in the saddle. But, that was part of the wall I built. And as soon as I was able to recognize that and shed it, it just opened up to me, it just a whole new world of development for us.
Right. And so, Matt, I'm going to kind of call you out here on this. You attended our seminar in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
And you may not even know this, but obviously when I did the majority of the speaking there, and I pay attention, and man, you were like a sponge there. You had a notepad, you were writing down, taking notes. You had your computer, you were taking notes on. I could see you were kind of referencing some stuff, looking over some stuff. And then afterwards, you asked a lot of questions. You came out to the testing site and seen, some interactions there.
Yep.
And you were like a sponge. You soaked that up, and it was the very next week you took a lot of the information you learned there and utilized it at an event you were having.
Yeah, that's 100% right. And I was planning this local, a local thing for my local hunters, just a hunter awareness, because I still don't have any business talking to trackers about tracking. I mean, I'm glad to talk to new guys and share my experiences. And, because it's 3 years in, I do know a little bit more than a guy that's never done it before, but I'm really cautious about how I approach talking to other trackers, just because of where I'm at in my trajectory. But I do feel like I have a pretty solid grasp on the things that the hunters can do. And I feel very confident in talking to hunters about track management and some of the stuff that is fundamental to us that is completely stratospheric and alien to hunters about tracking. So I wanted to put on a local event to help my local people, better manage tracks, to give them a better chance to potentially recover the deer themselves, or if they can't, to give me and other trackers in my area the best opportunity to help them. So you're 100% right, Kenny. I had a presentation put together, and I was starving for information. I'd never been to an event before, and the whole interdigital gland thing that you spent time on, and I'm still going to put you in a headlock next time we get together until you tell me where you got that paper from that university. But that's the kind of geeky nerd stuff that I absolutely love. It don't mean squat to the hunters, but for me, I love that stuff. But there's little elements of it you can talk about to the hunters so they can have at least a high level awareness of what's going on and what the dog is doing. So that's why I had my laptop flipped up, because I was making real time adjustments to that presentation there based on what you said. So I did. Oh, yeah. I took that stuff and heck, I even live streamed Facebook Live that.
Oh yeah, I watched it, and
it was fun.
That spoke volumes about you to me, and honestly, that's why you're on here again. That's why we've spoke a lot recently, is because you first off, you challenged me with some things, not in a negative way. You ask the questions, you want to, hey, is this guy legit? Did he really?
Yeah.
And I appreciated that. And then, you went back and you verified it, and you did the research to verify, hey, is the stuff that I've learned validated? And you came back to me and said, hey, this is what about this, and this, and you cross-referenced and you did your research, and then you put on a very good presentation. And I can't help but think that some of the stuff like that has helped you grow over the off season into this year.
I appreciate that, Kenny. Yeah, thank you. I mean, that truly does mean a lot. You did catch me a little flat-footed with that, but yeah, and it helps because now I if I'm going to present something, I want it to be factually accurate or widely. A lot of the stuff that we talk about in tracking is theory. We think that, but I want to make sure that it is generally accepted theory and coming from credible sources, not just a guy that's been tracking for 2 years and thinks it's cool to talk about crap, which is kind of what I was. So if I like to do some depth of research with people whom I trust and sources that are credible, to at least bring a little bit of credibility to what I'm saying, because anybody can talk a game. I could probably never read a book or read an article and put on a heck of a smoke show, but I don't know. It's just not how I am or how I want to do it.
Yeah. And speaking of that, we see, I know you're a member of some of the same Facebook groups that I am. And every day I see smoke show stuff, and I'm not calling out any names or anything like that.
No, you shouldn't.
And I've gotten to where I don't even respond sometimes anymore, or I'll say, hey, send me a private message, or I'll send them a message.
Yeah.
I don't share as many tips in some of those groups anymore because of like you said, the stuff that goes on.
The professor's looking good.
and I know Ralph is busting at the seams. He's been on me about that.
Yeah, I was going to say, when did that start?
Yeah. But
yeah,
one thing that we discussed, that you probably remember this, you actually stood up and took a picture of the screen, is when I put on the curve chart of tracker development and growth.
Yeah. Yep.
And
the trajectory.
So, you're 3 years in now.
Yep.
And on that chart, I put in the progression of a tracker doing things on their own, without help, without an ego, and then one of a tracker doing it on their own with a big ego, they know everything, and then another one with a mentor, that didn't know anything, and you saw those curves. Well, now that you're in year 3, you've probably seen some people that started the same time you did, and maybe some that didn't have egos, some that did, and some that utilized mentors. And now that you looked at that and you saw where I shared that and you took the picture, and if you sit back, or maybe you already have sat back and thought about it, have you seen that? Have you seen the experience of that yet?
Maybe a little. And I guess I've seen it more if I put it in context to me. You talk about mentors. I am incredibly fortunate to have a group of 44, 45 trackers in my network who are fantastic. I had the rare opportunity to be welcomed into a network my very first year tracking. I'd never track. I take that back. the year before that, I dabbled in it with my German Shepherd, and we did track some deer and recovered one, on 5 or so tracks. But, I kind of disregard that. So I was, green as a green tomato, and I was allowed to join this network. And without that network of trackers who have thousands of tracks under their belt, I would not have grown and developed. I wouldn't be able to flatten the curve like I did, so I have to attribute a lot of my success is work a day as it might be. I have to attribute a portion of that to the great people in the Michigan Deer Tracking Network and other, and I'll put it out there to you and Ralph too, because what I picked up in Lancaster, what I picked up at the event in Grayling, what I picked up in the 2 years of some really legit solid mentors within the network, so that I think flattened my curve. Don't get me wrong; it's still curving. I'm still learning, and we all should be. We all should be striving for that. But in terms of the I got this figured out first guy. I don't know. Maybe I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt a little bit, because I was that guy. I know when I jumped in, we've kind of talked about this here recently, is when I do something, I tend to jump in with both feet and go full tilt boogie, almost obnoxiously to a point, as I've been rambling most of this podcast now, probably obnoxiously to many. But I tend to do that. And I know that approach from a first year guy can turn some people off. And so I'm a little bit tolerant in passing judgment on other people, because I kind of was that person to some degree. But I just keep slugging and chugging and soaking it up where I can, trying to make friends and build connections where I can, and be receptive to any input I can get, and just all I want to be is the best I can be. I don't want to be the best at anything. I just want to be the best that I can be, and be credible, reliable, and have people, say, hey, call Matt. He's gonna do well for you. Doesn't mean you're gonna find a deer, but he's gonna give you everything he's got. And I want to be that guy. I want to be a guy that people trust, and that comes in time and putting in the work.
Right. So with that said, I want to bring something up. We had a post this week that asked, what advice related to tracking has impacted you the most?
Yeah.
Yep. And there was something on here, and I'm going to try to find it. Well, there's a lot on here that
a couple of my mentors chimed in on that.
Yeah, we spoke about tonight. Let's see. It's going to take me a minute. While I'm looking for this, I just want to say hey to everyone. We do see your questions, and we will get to them. We just want to get some of this stuff through first.
Here it is.
I can't find it now. But basically, you should be in competition with the person that stares back at you in the mirror.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I did see that. Quit. Don't compare yourself to other trackers.
There it is. Comparison is the thief of joy.
No, there it is.
Don't compare yourself to other trackers. You actually commented on it, said this was a huge one for me to overcome my first year, and creates a lot of anxiety. Yep.
Yeah, 100%. I just found that picture. I took your tracking curve too.
Yeah. So, with that post, Facebook, the Meta AI puts together a little summary, and I want to read that summary from that. I think there was 95 comments or something on that post. And it says, what people are saying: trackers emphasize trusting their dogs, but also verifying their findings. Humility, patience, and knowing one's limits are crucial. They stress the importance of woodsmanship, understanding deer behavior, and seeking help when needed. Additionally, Trackers advise against comparing themselves to others and staying safe by being aware of their surroundings.
Read that last part again. Read that last one again. What?
Additionally, trackers advise against comparing themselves to others and staying safe by being aware of their surroundings.
Yep.
Hey, guys, I got to step off here just a second. I'll be right back.
All right. You know, pretty much everything we've hit on, you know, was all over that post as what advice related to tracking has impacted you the most. And then that summary just hit the nail on the head of everything we've been talking about.
Yep. That was a fun read. Yeah, I didn't post my own because I don't know. I haven't, I had so much I don't know what it is, but I certainly had to comment. I think that was Brian's post that I commented on, and because that one really hit home for me.
Yeah, and Colby says, can you screen share the curve he is talking about? I'd like to see it. Let me see if I can find it.
Want me to text it to you?
Yes, please. Because I have about 16,000 pictures on this phone.
Yeah, I got you. Here you go. You're going to have to either crop it or zoom in on it, but
yeah, I can take care of that. Let's see. Yeah, I'll crop it and kind of explain it because all right, let me see if I can get it to come up here. It might take a minute for it to transfer over to my computer. Yes, I know what I can do. Airdrop it to my computer.
there you go.
See, Matt, another advantage to iPhone and Apple computer.
Whatever, man. Whatever.
This comes from a conversation we had outside of, or what was it, last night or night
It was
before
last
or something.
night, yeah. I still can't get people to steal my iPhone off the dash of my car with the windows down, the door unlocked. Eat it.
All right, I'm going to put this up. It's loading now. Let's see. It might take a minute. So here's the curve, and it's hard to see colors on this, but if you see that top line where the curve spikes really high and then comes way down, typically that what I've found as the trends over the years is someone who starts off tracking, gets a lot of information and they self-promote. They're better than everyone else. They gain in popularity real quick, and typically by year 3, they can't back up what they're professing, and then they just start falling off. And then that red one on the bottom is the tracker that, is humble, starts off slow, and just steadily gets better and better on their own. And you can see they slowly gain in popularity, getting more tracks. And then that middle one is a tracker that has a mentor and how their progression. I guess what you can't see here is, down here is year 1, year 2, year 3. This is them, how many years they tracked. And the horizontal lines is year 1, year 2, year 3 as experience and knowledge. And you can see how with a mentor you climb so much quicker in than you do any other way.
Yep. And that really applies to any skill or craft. If you got the right people guiding you, that you should ascend quicker.
Right. So I'm going to take a few minutes and go over some of these questions.
There's some good ones in there.
Yeah, then we'll get back to. Let me see. So Joe Tenney is asking you, Matt, how was your first bay? Did you experience a bay up with being off lead?
Oh, how was my first? I thought you said first day. My first bay. Well, I'll tell you about my first bay. My dog. So this is funny. I don't think my dog bays anymore, and I'll keep it really short. But my first bay was a complete accident my first year when she slipped off lead on state land when I'm supposed to be on lead and my dog's not supposed to bark on state land. That was a dumb rule in Michigan. The harness, it was a crap harness that came loose. She got ahead of me off in.
We've used that excuse too.
Yeah, it really was a junk harness, but you're right, Ralph. But anyway, she started barking like crazy. I'm like, oh my God, my dog's barking. I'm on state land. I'm not supposed to. She's not supposed to be barking. She's supposed to be on lead. Holy crap, what's going? I didn't have a collar on her at the time. This is how green I was. I didn't have a GPS collar, so I crawl through this entangled thicket garbage. I'm on my hands and knees, and I pick up my head, and there, about 15 yards in front of me, stands this deer. It was a doe, standing there, ears pinned back, staring at my dog, who was off to my left. Just, I guess she was baying, and then the deer, after I stood up, was able to get a picture of the deer. I didn't know what to do. The deer turned around, bounded, and laid back down. I was able to get my dog. The hunter came up and we devised a plan, and they got the deer. But that was my first bay, if you will. That I guess it was a bay, so it was lumpy and unintentional. The second time, I think she bayed my second year. Again, she got. I switched harnesses, but I had the old thumb, the old fashioned just thumb clasp, not a screw clasp on the lead. And we were in this really, really thick grass, and doggone it, that she must have went around, the grass, undid the clip, and she got off, and boom, she was gone. And I did have a collar on her this time, and I could hear her bark, and she was stopped, and I think she had the deer bayed, but I couldn't get there quick enough. And then the deer, I think, broke bay, and then she had it again. She had it a couple of times. I think it was the deer. I'm pretty sure it probably was, but we never saw that deer again. I don't think it was fatally wounded. But and then the last two times, and I'm sorry, I know you wanted to get to questions, but
no, you're good.
Now the weird thing is, I came across a couple deer that were alive that we could get to this year. The first one, she got about 10 yards away from it and just barked once, and I thought she was barking at the coon crawling up the tree. So I said, leave it. And I stepped around the corner, and there laid the deer. Oh my gosh. So she just came back, stayed with me. I got the hunters on the radio. They got to come up, got the ball, they got the deer. The second time we came up on a live deer, she didn't bay at all. It's the weirdest thing. I was off lead. She was, well ahead of me, 60, 80 yards, which isn't that far for you guys, but far enough for me, and I could see she stopped moving. I was pretty certain she was on the deer. She hadn't moved. So I'm like, sweet. This deer had been shot twice with a 12-gauge shotgun. So I'm like, cool, we got this bugger. I get up to the clearing in the swamp grass. I see her light flashing. I walk up to her, and just as I was getting close to her, she turned around and came back to me. I was about 10 yards away. That's common for her. She finds a deer. She don't care about the deer. She finds it. She comes back. She wants her treat. And, when she came back to me, I heard some rustling. I'm like, uh-oh. So I stepped around the big, thick swamp grass cluster, expecting to see a deer on the ground. Instead, I saw a big buck standing there staring. This is pitch dark, standing there staring at me. And we stared at each other for 3, 4, 5 minutes until he couldn't take any more, turned around, bounded off. But she didn't bay there at all. She was just, hanging out with this live deer. It was the weirdest damn thing. So I don't know what she does. She's pointing Terry.
That's a bloodhound for you. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. Your average bloodhound, that's.
Yeah.
So are y'all not allowed to dispatch?
Tracker cannot dispatch, hunter can. In that situation, the hunter was back at Last Blood, Ralph. So I got on the radio. I said, "Hey man, we got him. He's alive. Get up here." And I flipped my light up, put it on strobe so they could see me. And the deer just didn't have the tolerance to wait around for that, and he took off. We went back the next day, and we never did get him. I don't think it was near term fatal. Did he die from it? There's a good chance he did at some point, but he wasn't dead the second day. I can tell you, I'm highly certain of that.
I sure hope that something that you guys in Michigan are working on is getting that changed where the tracker can dispatch and not the hunter for safety reasons.
Dispatch, there's no real move underfoot right now, but we just got off lead 2 years ago, and that was quite a collective movement.
Oh yeah, I provided a lot of data for that.
Good, good.
There was a tracker in Michigan that was very had been working on this for
a long
years. And I can't remember how many years of data that I provided, as far as off lead versus on lead, and the benefits, the conservation side of things. I don't know if it helped, but it couldn't have hurt.
Well, it certainly didn't hurt. I mean, all that was good, and it got pretty active for a while. There were all kinds of meetings, and it was appropriately spirited conversation at times amongst the tracking community, because there were people who were for it and people who weren't for it. I'm glad it passed. It's wonderful. There are risks that come with it, and you must be willing to assume those risks if you're going to do it. It does bring another level of responsibility on the handler. But the benefits are unassailable of it when done well and done right. But so we just got that. I think that'll be the next, probably, save for the drone conversation. But in terms of tracking, I think that'll probably be the next movement in the tracking community, is to get tracker dispatch.
Yeah, I think that would be big.
When I was off a while ago, I heard y'all reading some of the questions. Did y'all read? Colby made a really smart, comment. Really,
we haven't gotten that far down yet, but we are.
I interrupted him, Ralph. I hijacked his plan. Sorry, Kenny.
Well, we made it to how was your first bay, and that's where we got to. Jason Byer said he's had multiple people ask this year if they were certified.
Yep.
I don't get that a lot.
I've never got
it. I haven't either.
Yeah.
I've had it a couple of times, but that most people doesn't even know. This is more for the trackers.
Yep.
Blake said, "Will the podcast be coming back to Spotify anytime soon?" Yes. I am still working the hurricane cleanup, and it's been 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it's been a lot on me. So, there's a lot of things in the works. You're going to see more podcasts. We're going to continue the live streams. We're going to, what all we talk about? Podcast live streams, more social media postings. We're going to include like breeders. Let's talk about the breed. I'm not going to say breeders as in marketing their dogs, but
breed experts.
Breed experts. There you go.
Yep.
So we have a lot coming, but as far as the Spotify and the audio podcast, we have more coming. Let's see, Chevy Chase would like to get on live one of these days and share the link to the Blood Trackers live Discord chat room. I'm trying to spread the word because it can be a game changer in terms of communication. Gamers use it a lot. It is free. Can be very beneficial for trackers to converse on long drives. There's the ability for live 24/7 voice chat rooms available rooms.
I'm part of that. I've never participated, but I do watch it.
Okay, this is the first I've heard of this.
Yeah.
So, you want to share a little bit about it, Matt?
I don't know much about it. I just accepted an invite to it, but it's just a chat room. I don't want to say just a chat room, but it's a chat room with where trackers and go in and just start engaging in conversation. And I know Chevy's trying to ask people to share it on their Facebook pages because he wants to grow that. And get some active, productive conversation going in it. So when I say I'm in that, I have the discourse. I signed up just for that, but I've never participated. Sorry, Chevy. And Chevy follows my page too. So,
hey, yeah, got to start somewhere. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Oh, this must be the comment that Ralph was talking about.
Yeah, smartest comment.
Ralph looking spiffy tonight for the live.
Yeah.
Ralph couldn't wait for me to get to that one.
I just didn't want to. I want to make sure we didn't overlook him.
Oh,
that's funny.
So, Ralph, while you were out, Colby had asked about screen sharing the curve that chart that I was talking about, which was the development of trackers. You've seen that because you weren't in Lancaster, but you've seen it because I sent all of this stuff to you when I put it together.
Yep.
Perry Lawrence says, no matter how long you tracked, you're always learning. I have called Kenny and Ralph both and trackers in my area running off lead this year. It's like being a newbie tracker in a way, being always on lead. So Perry really struggled with the transition.
It's
and
tough.
I know he doesn't mind me saying this. You notice I said Perry really struggled with the transition.
Yeah, dog didn't.
The dog did not struggle with the transition.
No.
Perry struggled with the transition.
Yeah, it still has hints of struggling.
Yes, but
well, look, I can relate to it. I did too. I had a paranoid moment in mid-season where I went back on lead, and it cost me a couple of deer. They were recovered the next day, but 100%, I get it.
Yeah, but I give him a lot of credit because he knew there was a problem, and he called me. So I don't know if it's me. I don't know if it's the dog. I said, "Well, come on, come work with me." And Perry will tell you, he was handling the dog. And the dog was not working how he was used to because the dog it had more room to work,
more freedom
than 25 or 30 feet, more freedom. So it was working off the line a little more than what Perry's used to. And he kept calling the dog back. And finally I stepped in and I said, look, let me handle this dog and you sit back and watch. And we finished, we finished it out strong. And that really helped him. So, and he's came a long ways. Now, a lot of people doesn't realize I started on lead. For I don't even know how many years. We could track off lead here. I started on lead. And I'm just going to tell you, you learn a lot tracking on lead. You see things that you won't see off lead. You'll see reactions from the dog. You'll even now, and I know Ralph is this way, we follow our dogs. We're not ones that just dump the box and let the dogs go.
Yeah.
We're step for step behind that dog. Now, sometimes the dog may go through a thick, nasty spot that we just don't want to go through, or
of course
goes through, neck deep water that we're going to find a way around. But for the most part, we're step for step behind our dogs.
That's the benefit of off lead. You
And
don't have to.
Right. But I'm seeing more a trend in trackers that want dogs that they can just turn out and stay at the truck and wait for them to find the deer. Too many times I found sign that says, "Hey, it's time to back out and let's come back." You know, you and I talk about this a lot, Ralph.
Yeah.
You know, if you didn't follow behind your dogs, how many times would you push a deer and not recover it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. And, and there's a couple, it's just another line of thinking, in different approach. It's almost a debate of who's a better drummer, Ringo Starr or Neil Peart. You're both great in your own rights, but my personal preference is much like yours. I want to follow the dog. I want to be right on her line so I can see, any sign if there's any to be seen or have the chance to see it. It's just my personal preference.
Yeah.
I would prefer to be with the eyesight of the dog, but that doesn't happen a lot, and that's okay.
Right.
But just my personal preference, and that may change as I get more experience with it too.
Yeah. So this is when we had the chart up. Colby says I would 100% agree with this graph. Coda Stewart says, is that graph based data you got, Kenny, or where's that from? So that is from years of really the Florida and Georgia Blood Trailing Network, and seeing the people that come and go and keeping records. And even more so now that how many years are we into the mentorship program now, Ralph? 3?
3. I think this is our, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And when although we mentor people a lot, now it's a requirement to get on our list. You have to be mentored. I don't care if you have 30 years experience, you are going through our apprenticeship mentorship program. And what we have seen is the development of trackers significantly climbing quicker. The networking amongst trackers has improved tenfold.
Yeah.
This year, we actually broke the state of Florida up into regions, and we have a private chat for each region. And tracks don't go missed.
Mm-hmm.
And the communication and camaraderie between the trackers has significantly improved. Wouldn't you say, Ralph?
Oh yeah, definitely. Some groups 10 times better than others. You could tell they're tighter. You can see it in the chats.
Oh yeah,
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And Terry Foltz says she's pointing, Matt.
Yeah, and my buddy Terry. Yeah, he. You talk about off lead and having a great season. Terry, I'm going to call you out. He had a great off lead season this year. He in August he got his off lead cert, and I got to tag along with Terry. Chad was the judge on that, and I got to watch Terry and River get certified in off lead, and it was fun to watch him in our private chat and stuff. He had a great he had a few bays. It was fun. It was cool to watch. He's got a Bavarian.
So here's the question for you, Matt.
Yeah.
From Joe Tenney. How do you feel the snow affects your dog's nose?
Can you see that picture?
Oh yeah.
It's fine. There comes a point, of course, where it's too much. I haven't encountered that yet, but the little bit of snow that we get down here anymore during the hunting season in southern Michigan isn't it's not a big deal. And I have plenty of friends up north in Michigan that track 6-8 inches. And I guess it depends on if it's it snowed 6 or 8 inches on the line after the deer was shot, or the deer was shot 6 or 8 inches. But generally speaking, it's okay. There will come a point when it seems like maybe I've heard people say, I'm echoing what I've heard people say now because I don't have this experience, but I've heard some people say It seems like the heavier and denser the snow is, the harder it is. The dog's going to work a little harder, but generally speaking, it's fine.
So we had some snow this year in our region. Some areas up to 8 inches, and some trackers they weren't prepared for it, or I shouldn't say weren't prepared for it because we don't track in it. And I got a lot of text messages and phone calls like, what do we do? You follow your dog. That's what you do. Follow your dog. It's all you can do. So Dylan says, Joe Tenney, all depends on the temp, type of snow, and amount from what I've seen /read. Billy Hodgson says, what was the name of that tracker's chat room? I'd have to go back up in the comments to look.
I texted you a link to it too, Kenny.
Okay, Billy, I will forward you that link. All right, so Chuck Darby says, how many tracks would you say that you took off the tracker app this year? I took 2 off of there. I don't know exactly, but Shane could tell you. I know John and I committed and tracked, I believe it was 4 or 5 ourselves. My son tracked 2 off of the tracker app. What about you, Ralph?
Just a couple, not many.
And I know John. Oh, why am I drawing a blank on his name? Baker County. John has the
Clark.
John Clark. Golly, why couldn't I think of that? John Clark took, I think, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
What about you, Matt? Did you get any from the tracker app?
No, I didn't. I didn't get any. I bid on one, and they must have selected somebody else. I have my radius set pretty narrow, and there's a certain tracker density down here, and they get snacked up really quick down, in my area. Right. So I didn't go on any.
So one thing I want to say,
right.
One thing I want to say, Chuck, is don't give up on it yet. I think it is a great resource.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it will really grow. It's new. I mean, it's new. It takes time for anything to grow. And Shane and his group they're really doing a good job. Ralph and I have been active with Shane throughout the whole process. And we've shared this before. One thing I'm really a fan of is Shane does his best to vet the people, to vet the trackers. So one thing I want to share with that said, that is the tracker website, official app of the United Blood Trackers and American Blood Trackers Association. We do support the app and promote the app. Again, it is new, but I think it is a great resource, not only for trackers to gain tracks. To me, that's not the important thing. Is it important? Sure. What's important is you have, I'm going to say, this younger generation of hunters that are very app oriented. They're going to love this. People are quick to use an app these days. It's more exposure for the tracking community, but one of the things that I think is best from this app is the statistics that it tracks.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah.
That's huge to me. And if you remember, Matt, I shared a lot of those statistics in Lancaster.
Yeah, you did. Yep. And you cited Shane's stuff. Yep.
And it was very eye-opening to a lot of people. We actually had some hunters there that weren't trackers, and it was eye-opening for them.
That's the wonderful thing about data. It can either validate what you know, or you might be surprised, or your feelings might be hurt, but it's just data.
Yep. Yeah, you and I are giving away our age because we say data.
What's it called?
the younger generation now calls it data.
Oh, I thought Data was a character on Star Trek.
So Brian Weissong says, "Hey Kenny, glad you guys are back. What a season! If you guys have never met Brian or follow Brian, Brian has 2 phenomenal beagles. He's in Iowa, and I don't know how this man does it. He will track on lead with these 2 beagles at the same time.
Ooh.
Not all tracks, but he does.
Wow.
Yeah. Brian's a cool guy. I really like Brian. I can't wait to go back to Iowa and spend some more time with the people there." Kyle Tolbert says, "Lazy and deer tracking doesn't go together."
No.
So Paltry says, "If you put a 40-foot leash on your dog, that's how you see what's happening." Yes, but I can read a dog pretty darn good on my Garmin. But it takes time and experience.
Sorry about that.
So Kyle said, going back to the snow, it depends on if the track is on top of the snow and ice or beneath it. Now, ice is a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
You get ice, especially early mornings. Based on my experience, because I have tracked in ice, you're better off waiting till that later in the day and that ice melts a little.
Yeah, same with frost, just encapsulates the scent.
Yep. Joe Tenney says for him, over 4 inches, she struggles some. Bit horrible, but under 10 degrees, I notice a struggle. Oh, not horrible. So Michael Beck, Dexter the Deer Dog, says very cold and dry snow is tough. It is usually accompanied with a 30-mile-per-hour wind from every direction.
Yeah, that's true.
Joe Tenney says, "How's the guy's dog from a few weeks back?" Kyle, you were on here. If you want, you can share an update with us. Perry Lawrence said he took 1 off the tracker app. Courtney DeMello said she took 5 to 6 from the app.
Oh, cool.
Joe Tenney says bid on 2, got 0 from tracker, 1 from Blood Trail, 0 from Fast Track. I got 0 from Blood Trails, and I'm not involved with Fast Tracks, and nothing there. But again, all of these are new. Keep that in mind. Oh, Kyle did respond, says, Joe Tenney, if you were talking about mine, she is getting a little better every day. It's going to be a long road getting her leg healed back.
Cool.
Terry says it is very competitive in Michigan, hard to lock one in, like Matt said.
Yeah.
Same way here. You got to be quick.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, one thing that I have done is I will look at that tracker app, and I got my range set pretty wide, and I see something come up, I will go ahead and grab it and commit to it if possible, and then get them help. Typically I'll wait 20, 30 minutes if no one else has gotten it, but if not, I'm going to go ahead and accept it so they know it's being worked and they don't just start calling random people.
Yeah.
So Chuck Darby said he only put in for those 2, and they selected them pretty fast. He said, I like that they also have the choice to pick the tracker on the app as well. So also, part of the app is if you have a UBT certification or an ABTA certification, that is listed there. Your years of experience. There is a review system, and you can go back and watch our live stream from last year with Shane. But I really like that. Another thing is he verifies, like we have a Google Drive document or spreadsheet of everyone that's certified through us. So when they submit it, Shane has access to that, and he can go through and verify that they really are certified. Ryan Banknell says, Kenny, I hate we missed meeting you last Saturday. Yeah, sorry about that. This storm cleanup has got my life a little turned upside down lately, or for a while now. Tom Hill says ice will also cut the pads of a dog's feet. Let's see. A lot about the tracker app. So, Ralph, we have a few events coming up. You want to share a little bit about them?
Yeah, we got was it not a week from Thursday? We start the Louisiana, and we're just providing the certifications over the testing for his event
For Randall
Duvall. And so we'll be headed over there for 3 days. Pretty full.
Yeah, I think
I just
35, 36 tests.
I believe so. I lost count, but I got them all. I've been trying to schedule everything for the judges, so I've got it all written down. I'll turn it out tomorrow so everybody can start figuring what times to be at the testing event. And then the next weekend, which starts the 28th, we have our Florida event, and we need to get some tests going. So anybody that's planning, go ahead and get it ahead, because we need to figure out how many judges we need, and that's based off of how many tests we do. So please start signing up for some tests in Florida. We were a little behind this year in promoting it, but plus that one, we're also going to have a live concert from
Kinsey Wheeler.
And so that's going to be good. Those are the first two that they both start this month. So we'll be busy with those for sure.
And at the Duvall Catahoula's event, we are rolling out a new test, which is the multi-dog off-lead test.
Yep. There's, I think, 4 or 5 of those that people are doing. I think 4.
Yeah. And so that's going to be a fun test. If one dog gets off outside the callback distance, I'll just put it out there. Let me put it up there. Because I don't think I've gotten it on the website yet. Like I said, I've been stretched a little thin. Oop, went too far. Now I got to go back out of it. Leave it to me.
Let me teach you how to run a computer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ralph Bennett School of Technology for Gifted Professionals, right?
There we go. Multi-dog off-lead test. Distance and lay time, a minimum of 800 yards, a maximum 1,000 yards in total length with 2 wound beds. This test must lay for no less than 2 hours old and a max of 6 hours old. So why did we choose that time? We want the dogs to get out of sight. We want them to work it quick. For several reasons. One, just part of it is, can you read your dog on a handheld? The second part of that, and it's not required that they get out of sight. That's just part of it. The other side of that is when you get multiple dogs on a line, especially off lead, they can become competitive. And a lot of times when you have a hotter track, what do dogs do? They work it faster and they overshoot. So that's a built-in challenge. There will be no directional marker from the hit site, three 90-degree turns, demonstrate recall of all dogs at the property line. So you have to be able to recall your dogs to you. All the dogs have to come back to you. And there will be a 50 to 60 yard scent gap. Handler challenges must demonstrate the ability to operate a handheld device, a GPS tracking device. Must be able to read and verbally communicate what the dogs are doing. The preparation and execution, 2 ounces of blood with the use of tracking shoes will be used over the course of the track. The handler will be shown the hit site, but not the direction. If one dog gets off the distance of a callback, it counts as a callback for the team. Maximum of 60 minutes to run the test. So that should be a fun one.
Yeah.
I got a question about it, Kenny.
Sure.
If so your dogs have to demonstrate callback at a property line.
Yes.
Are your dogs allowed to cross the property line at all? Say they cross the line, but or do you have to call them back before they cross the line?
So the judge that will be on the judge to say, hey, there's a property line coming up. The dogs are getting close. So I need you to recall them.
Okay. I was just curious.
Yeah, it's got to be on the judge unless, well, I think it's got to be on the judge because your dog can't tell it, and you don't really know where a property line is because your screen it's not going to show a property line like in real life.
You know what? And that's what I was thinking, Ralph. I'm thinking about mine. I know where that boundary is, and when my dog's getting close, where, yeah, you're right. The test may not have that. So, okay.
But when I did my UBT, they told me where the line was going to be, but they called me and said, all right, it's time. You need to call your dog back.
Gotcha. Yep.
They were watching it because I don't know what they wanted other than call your dog back when I tell you to, and that's what happened.
And that's the important part. Do you have a handle on your dogs to prevent them from trespassing? And, speaking of that, I apprenticed on Ralph's UBT2 off lead, and Chad Tate was the judge. So it was Chad and I laid the line with Chad. And Chad's a great guy, great judge, very experienced, awesome judge. And, Chad's been on a lot of test lines, and he had I guess you'd say a stigma or what's the word I'm looking for? A misconception over the little dogs, over the Teckles. And, he thought that, and I believe he did share this with you, Ralph. He thought that, hey, we're going to have to stop and let this dog get out of sight. And you said, oh, no, we don't have to stop and wait for this dog to get outside. This dog will be gone as soon as it hits the ground.
And I told him 20 yards, you will not see the dog again.
That's funny.
Sure enough, she went, and I said, about how far was that? And he said, about 20 yards. And it was all GPS after that.
Yeah. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
So we have another new test coming out, and I don't have the documentation like I did on that one just yet. But I'm going to share some teasers on it. And Matt, I shared this with you. Was it last night?
Yep.
And Ralph and I talked about it. And I will say, Ralph has had input on this. Travis Bozeman has been instrumental on this, and John Vaughn has been a tremendous part of this test development. We are calling it the Elite Test. And this test will basically, we're going to lay it as we lay a started level test. that will be administered and finished out by another team. And then we're going to, from there, that is going to progress on for another,
for the elite test.
Yes, 800 to 1,000 yards or so past that for the elite test. And what we are doing, if you pay attention, all of our tests are real life scenarios, and it's designed to help. It's a progression design to help develop teams. So what we've done with this one is this other tracker, this other person that was tested, they came in, they tracked this deer, and they jumped it. Well, they know they need to back out. So they back out. Well, they can't come back the next day to track this deer like it needs to. So they have to refer it out to another tracker, which would be, let's say, Matt, you're going to run this test.
Yep.
They call Matt. Hey, Matt, I jumped this deer. I can't come out. Can you come behind me and try to recover this deer? So this test is going to be a 24-hour-old test line, minimum of 24 hours. And you are coming in behind another team that jumped the deer. There will be a section where you're going to come to a property line that you will not have permission to enter. The deer went into that property. Now you have to work with, you and the dog has to work to figure out where did that deer exit. That's one of the challenges. And I have experienced this. I don't have either the two of you experienced this in the real world?
Yeah, I have once.
Yep. I did with one of your friends that you referred a track to me on.
Yep. Yeah, especially like here in the Live Oak, Florida area, there's a lot of 40-acre parcels, a lot. So, and there are times where we know the deer went in, we got to figure out where it came out, and that happens. Now, right here in my home area, we don't see it very often. There's going to be some other challenges in there, but I just wanted to put a little teaser out there, and Jason Bell is going to be the first one to run that. I don't know if he's going to be the first one to run it, but he's the first one signed up for it, voluntold.
Well, you know what you're doing from now to then. He's going to be a nervous wreck.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And so that test you will be able to do on lead or off lead.
Oh, that's a nugget you didn't share. Nice.
Yeah, it is your choice, but I will say this. There will be a segment of that test. If you run it off lead, there will be a property that the landowner will not give you permission to run your dog off lead. They'll say, yes, you can come in and track this deer, but you have to have the dog on lead.
And we had one, well, I shouldn't say we. Kayla went on one this year that if the deer would have, because the hunter got all the property owners' permission in case no matter which way it went, he had permission to go. But one of them was just that. He said, if you come over, you've got to be on lead. Luckily, it didn't go that way, but the situation comes up, just what you said. They do say that sometimes because it did it this year.
Yep.
And there's going to be some interaction with the landowners and the trackers, not just the hunter calling to get permission, but the landowner may want to talk to the tracker on this test line. So you can see we're keeping everything very realistic.
And that could be being private and going on to a WMA.
Correct.
Where you got to switch and go to on lead. So those are real life.
And Jason tells me, well, Kit hasn't been on lead. I said, oh yeah, Kit's been on lead. Kit's been on lead at my house. I know she can do it. Well, she hasn't been on one since then. I said, well, you got 3 weeks.
Plenty of time.
Again, it's just it's going to motivate him to get him out there. If he'll find the time. He'll find the time. He says, oh, I don't know if I'm going to have the time. He'll find time.
Oh yeah.
So again, just keeping it real, keeping the people engaged, motivating them to get out there.
Multi-dog really doing that.
Oh yeah,
That's going to be a hit.
yeah.
See, and go ahead, Ralph. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say earlier, I told you, I might run that, but I'm probably not going to be able to.
I tell you, you say that multi-dog's going to be a hit, and it's weird because I suspect other Northerners like me just have a hard time connecting with that one.
Don't try it. You might like it.
Yeah, no, it'd be, yeah, no, multi-dog. Now there are some people in my network that do it. I mean, they do, but and they're hell of a good trackers, cover a lot of deer.
Yeah, where you'll really see where they're at in training wise on that. It will show if you've trained each dog individually or pack mentality.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
You'll see those things come out. And that's something that maybe some of the more northern trackers may not relate to what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
But so there again, going back to what Kyle said, that there's some laziness out there, and I'm not going to say that I haven't done this in the past, where people don't want to train their dogs individually, and you have a veteran dog, and you just hope that dog will train the other dogs, and what ends up happening is you end up with some Me Too dogs, and they're just tagging along, following the other dogs, and not really trailing. That will show up. So Chuck Darby says, what's the limit amount of dogs? Oh, we lost Matt. We do not have a limit on it right now. I would personally limit myself to 2 dogs. The more dogs you add, the higher the chance of something going wrong. I'm sure Matt, here he is. He went away and then came. All right, he'll get back on in just a minute. Shows he's. Oh, there he is. You there, Matt?
I see his name, but his screen's blank.
Yeah, he's having technical difficulties. Anyways, he's trying to get back on. So Ralph, you and I have met recently. We have some changes coming within the organization as far as roles and definitions of responsibilities, and one of them, he said it's internet fritzed. Kayla Tire, which a lot of people may have seen on here. Here's Matt. So, well, I can see you on little. I think you still have internet issues. Anyways, Kayla Tire, Ralph, she will be more actively involved in kind of managing our events.
Yep.
You want to share a little bit on that?
Well, she just, well, first of all, it's getting too much for just me and you to handle. So we brought her in because she's very experienced in organizing events and stuff. So we're letting her handle the promotions and doing things, trying to get ahead of the game versus us waiting for the last when we have time. So she's going to be handling the social media, the events, and so that's been a breath of fresh air.
Yes, and she's putting together, organizing a committee as well.
Yep. So, and that'll be a lot of per state. You know, each state that we have it in, she'll get a committee going for that event, which will help tremendously.
Yeah, it really will. And Matt, I don't want to put you on the spot. Do you want to share about what we've talked about recently, or do you want to? Yeah, and we are definitely excited. And so when I said earlier, when the question asked about the podcast, I wasn't going to put it out there yet, but you know, here we are. We someone said Matt's froze, and this does lag a little bit. So when we're actually live, that they're a little behind. So that's part of it. You know, you and I spoke with Kayla last night, and we came up with some ideas to bring on some breed experts, to bring on different trackers from across the nation with different experiences, instead of it just being the majority of Ralph and I. I mean, we can only share so much without being redundant.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. And someone, James Tucker, said we didn't hear any of Matt's responses. So to summarize it, in case you didn't hear, Matt, Ralph and I approached Matt and asked if he would like to be part of our team, especially on the social media live streams, podcast. And what Matt didn't share is he wanted to take a couple of days before just giving us an answer, and he had some questions, which I thought was great. And you also wanted to check with some friends, and I'm just gonna say this: there's politics inside the tracking community, whether we like it or not, and it's not just on ABTA or UBT or any other level. It's even within states. It's even within groups within states. You know, you have tracking groups within the states, and then one gets upset and they branch off to another one, and there's politics all around. I don't like that. Unfortunately, in the positions that we're in, like Ralph and I, especially managing two state groups and now this group, it happens. We're brought in the middle of it. We don't like it. I support the other groups, the other associations. UBT, I'm a member. I've been a member for a long time. I think last time I renewed for 5 years. You know, Ralph, you've been a supporter, I know, and will continue to do so. But I appreciate you bringing that forward, Matt. You know, you said, "Hey, I don't," you know.
I can hear you. They're saying they can't hear you. I can hear you.
Hang on, Matt. I'm sorry to cut you off, but they are saying they still can't hear you. So maybe if you can log out and come back in.
Go ahead and answer Jason Bell.
All right. Jason Bell
No.
says, I want my couple of days to think about the test. You already
No.
had them. You just didn't know it.
Yeah, no.
Sorry that you guys cannot hear Matt. Let's see. We're going to bring him back on. All right. There you are. Matt, if you will talk, and let's see if people can hear you. All right. Someone let us know if you could hear him. That'd be great. Yes. I don't have you muted. All right. Is anyone still on that could tell us if you can hear Matt or not?
Nope.
Oh.
Nope.
Okay. Weird. Okay. All right. That's from earlier. Matt, are you using your phone as the camera? Okay. I've had that happen before. Yes. Your audio is definitely louder there to me. I don't know about to anyone else. Ooh. So I don't know if they can hear you or not. If not, what we
They just they're saying they can't.
how about you call me and I'll put you on speakerphone so you can share what and then I'll meet you on here where they can't, or I'll just turn my speakers down. All right, Matt.
You got me?
Yes.
Yes. There we go. Technology. I don't.
Uh-oh. Let me turn my speakers off. I think it's back feeding through yours. All right, you there?
Yeah, hold on. There we go. So back feeding?
Yeah, I'm hearing an echo.
That's it.
It might be. Do you have me on speakerphone?
Let me just join from my phone. Let me see if that works.
Okay.
Kenny, I'm gonna have to be going here in a second.
Hang on, Ralph. I can't hear you because I had to. What was that, Ralph?
I said I'm gonna have to be going here in a minute.
Okay. Well, he's going to try to log in from his phone and see if this makes a difference, and then if you have to go, that I get it.
Yeah. I'm gonna run. So I'll
Okay.
catch you. See y'all.
Howdy. Thanks. All right. Matt is not talking yet. If you guys can't hear me, he's going to try to log in from his phone. Can you guys hear me right now while Matt's trying to do that? Hmm. All right, there you are. I can hear you. I don't know if anyone else can. They're saying the whole screen is frozen. Oh, it says yes. I, I have Starlink as well, and I love it. But it does happen. Hmm. Well, it still has you logged in under your computer too. I wonder if that's what's going on. Okay. All right. Let me try this. All right. All right. Let's see if you guys can hear Matt. If not, Matt, we may have to just. All right. Can you guys hear Matt now? Yeah. Hmm. I'm just okay. All right, you guys, if you could just be patient. He said he sees what's going on and he is working on it right now. Sorry about this. All right, can you guys hear him now? Nope, still can't hear you. All right, well, I tell you what, Matt, it's a nope, we lost him altogether. If he can't get back on, then we'll have to finish this a little later. But basically, Matt's coming on board with us. Let's see if this worked. All right, there you are again. Darren Miner says, "Sing a song." What's that now? I guess we'll find out in just. It said no difference. Um, so Matt, maybe you could just type something up for everyone, or if you want to do a little video to explain what you were going to. This has happened before. Unfortunately, it's part of technology. Um, but just the short of it, Matt sent in an email to us after we approached him. And let me explain to you guys why we chose to approach Matt. So this started long before Matt even knew that I was paying attention to him. Um, so I've been it still shows your you on there as well. But before you were ever I guess you'd say active with our association, Matt, I was following you from early on when you first started because I've been part of that Michigan network for a while. I've just been kind of lurking and paying attention on who's who, and I've followed your progression and your growth as a tracker. And then I followed you as you started your podcast, and then we met in Lancaster. Um, and then after Lancaster, I watched your live stream for your local thing that you did, your educational um, event. I've listened to your podcast and watched your video cast, and I liked what I saw. I liked your attitude. I liked your willingness to learn, your willingness to help others, your willingness to educate others. And I know you don't like using the word educate, but that's for a lack of a better term. I mean, that's what it is. And I just felt like you would be a good fit. And just like you, Matt, I have some friends that are actively involved with other organizations, and it's because the nature of the nature of life, the life that we live. There's politics involved, whether we like it or not, and it's not always the organization. It's some people within the organization that choose to be that way sometimes, and I can respect you for wanting to take some time and ask those questions, and reach out to your friends, and make sure that it was right fit for you. Um, and your response to us in the email form, you asked some very good questions. You gave some very sound advice. We chatted with Kayla last night, um, and you gave some great advice there that we are going to utilize. And we're glad to have you on board. You know, and for those of you guys that couldn't hear him, he was just saying he's very thankful and humbled, and Joe Tenney said, "Welcome to the team." And you probably know this. Joe is one of our judges, and Joe is more than just a judge. Joe is an instrumental part of our association, and we are very grateful for Joe. Um, and I just got a text message from another person. Billy Hodgson said, "Please let Kayla know." Um, oh, please tell Kayla I would love to help with the Alabama event, please. Um, and so one of the things we talked about is we are going to um, put together some teams, like we talked about, some committees. So we already have some. We have testing committees. Our director, or our testing coordinator is Stacy Frost. Our judge coordinator is Coda Stewart. Um, our testing committee right now is myself, Ralph Bennett, Stacy Frost, Coda Stewart, and Travis Bozeman. Um, so we do have a lot going on, putting more stuff together. Kayla's been great with us, and really excited with the stuff she's working towards with your help, Matt. Um, Michael Beck says, "Congratulations, not getting some better Wi-Fi." I don't think it's a Wi-Fi issue. We have had this happen before. I mean, things happen. Um, yes, it did happen with Ralph. It's happened with me before. That's why I asked if you were on your phone, because I've had it happen where I had to swap screens and go back. Um, so a couple of the other things that we're working towards is having we talked about it last night. I don't know that we're there yet, but this is where we're headed, is a state representative in each state. We have a few people that going apprentice judges in some new states. We added a lot of judges last year. Iowa, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, Tennessee, Michigan. I'm probably forgetting some. We have one in Missouri right now that has I think one or two more steps before becoming a judge. Let's see. There was one on here, Michael Beck. Michael Beck submitted an application and it's going through the process now. So a lot of good things in the works. We had a lot happening last year. With the testing side of things, but so I'm gonna wrap it up, Matt. And feel free to, if you want to share something, since they can't hear you right now. If you want to share something later on, that's fine. I'm sure they'll see you again. And they'll hear your voice again as we move forward with the podcast and the live streams. And we got a lot of exciting things coming up, not just events. But okay. Okay, so everyone, Matt is going to go back in the comments and he's going to share what he wanted to share with you guys when his audio went out. I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in tonight. I know this is a long one, going on 2 hours. We appreciate everyone here. We appreciate the patience through these technical difficulties, and we will see you again next week. Thank you.